Cassie. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday, working towards the weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and loads to do over the next 2 hours. Luke Johnson talking Saints in 15 minutes. Joe Healy setting the stage for the SEC baseball weekend to come at 1:30. We'll chat with Chris Blair at 2:15 talking Tigers. The Sweet 16 cranks up tonight. It's opening day. Blake Baker talked a little bit earlier. You get the picture. There's a lot to do over the course of the next 2 hours. We appreciate you making us part of your Thursday. Let's start things the way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, let's crank it up. LSU and Mississippi State tonight from the box, and it got a little bit more interesting yesterday evening and this morning when we learned about the pitching plans. I'll get to that in a second, but just to kind of set the stage for this game tonight, Mississippi State comes in struggling. They are 16-9 on the season. They are 1-5 in league play. They went to the Astros tournament earlier in the pre-conference. They crushed Rice by 10-run rule, and then they lost to Arizona and lost to Oklahoma State. They've lost midweek games to Southern Miss and Troy. They were swept by Texas in Starkville 2 weeks ago, 8-7, 5-3, and 4-1. And then they went to Oklahoma, and after winning an incredible pitcher's duel in Game 1 with Pico Kahn and Kyson Witherspoon going at it, they win that game 2-1. They lose game 2, 13-11, and lose game 3, 7-3. In the second game of that series, they made 5 errors in the first 3 innings. So you're talking about a team that is up against it. They're 1-5. And I was listening to Thunder and Lightning, great Mississippi State podcast. Brian Haydad, Robbie Falk do it. And, they were thinking about, man, if they go to Baton Rouge and they get swept and they're 1-8, like, can you recover from that? And we know the answer is yes, you can. But, man, does it make your life tough. And that's LSU's job this weekend, to try to make Mississippi State's life as tough as possible. Now, when I saw this game on the schedule and I watched both of these teams play for the first 3 weeks of the season, I looked at it and went, oh, well, that's going to set up one of the better pitching matchups in the conference in game 1 of that series with Pico Kahn and Cade Anderson getting the baseball. Those two guys have been phenomenal for their two teams through 6 weeks of baseball. We're not getting that tonight. It's a day earlier. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So Chris Lemonis has decided, for whatever reason, whether it's to avoid Cade Anderson or to keep Pico Kahn on his normal rest, he's going to throw Kahn on Friday, and he's going to put Evan Ciari in there on Thursday night to start in the game tonight. Now, my opinion is he's keeping Kahn on his normal rest, and I think he probably sees it as more of an advantage spot for him against Anthony Ianson. I watched teams pitch off of Aaron Nola for 2 years, and I watched teams pitch off of Paul Skeens at the end of 23. And those two necessitate that. You weren't going to beat those guys. Arkansas beat Skeens once. South Carolina beat Skeens once in a rain-shortened game. It happened twice in the 8 games, but it was statistically an improbability. And Nola was nearly unhittable in the same way. And I watched teams pitch off. And I don't think Anderson has earned that yet. Now, I think Anderson's been awesome. I'm not trying to denigrate Anderson at all. But, I think that if this was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, that you probably see Pico Kahn go on Friday against Cade Anderson. I just think Chris Lemonis is looking at this going, I can give myself a pretty big advantage on Friday. Let's do that. We'll see. I realize I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth with that, but like, I don't think it's purely an Anderson thing. I think it's a Con thing. I think it's being on the road. I think there are some factors at play. Either way, that's what we're getting. So tonight, you're getting Cade Anderson against Evan Ciari. Ciari is a guy that is not ticketed for a long outing tonight. He's made 6 appearances this year. He's started 1 game. He's worked 11 2/3 innings on the season, giving up 3 earned runs on 7 hits. He struck out 15 and walked 3. His opponent batting average is 171. However, he did pitch against Oklahoma last weekend, and they did get after him a little bit for the first time all year. In the 3 innings he threw against Oklahoma, he gave up 4 hits, all 3 of his earned runs on the season. He only struck out 1, walked 1, gave up a home run through 40 pitches. His longest outing of the year is 30 pitches. Last year we saw Evan Ciari take the mound against LSU. LSU tagged him early and often. He threw 3 innings in that game against LSU. He gave up 5 hits in those 3 innings, 3 earned runs, 2 homers against LSU. So LSU's seen him before. He's not a guy that's expected to go 7 innings. He is not a guy that's got big-time SEC stuff. He's not a huge draft prospect. He's not even a weekend starter for Mississippi State. This is a guy that's going out there to see if he can't get Mississippi State off to a reasonable start, and then Chris Lemonis will react to that accordingly. Does he go to his big bullets out of the bullpen 3 or 4 innings in because he's right in it? Does LSU get after Ciari and Anderson's rolling through 5 shutout innings and you go, okay, maybe we pitch down a little bit. We try to even things tomorrow. We'll see. That's the plan, I think, for Mississippi State. That's can be looked at 2 different ways for LSU. One, you've got a big advantage on the mound tonight. You got a big advantage on the mound and you're at home. So that's great. The other way to look at it is a little pressure on you tonight. You need to win the game. Because if LSU does not win tonight, you got Pico Khan coming at you tomorrow. And we'll talk about him on tomorrow's show. Usually entering the weekend, I got to kind of preview all 3 games at once because it's on a Friday and I won't see you again until Monday. I see you again tomorrow, so we'll talk about tomorrow. But tonight, LSU's got a big advantage. I'm looking for a few things out of LSU in this weekend series. I put some numbers to it at louisianasports.net. And we'll see how ambitious those numbers are, but I'm going to revisit them on Monday. We'll briefly talk about it tomorrow as well. I would like to see LSU limit the free bases from the pitching staff, walks and hit by pitches, to 10 for the weekend. That may sound ambitious, but LSU has done that this year. Against Purdue Fort Wayne, only 3 the entire weekend. Against North Alabama, only 10 the entire weekend. And against Texas, only 9 last week. It helped that on Friday night, Cade Anderson and Zach Callen went out there and didn't walk or hit anybody. But you only had 2 on Sunday when you lost. So you had it tonight. So in 3 of the 6, half the weekends, you've kept it 10 or under. Now you had 15 against Omaha, 15 in the Frisco tournament, and you had 20 against Missouri. I'll say this. You put 20 Mississippi State Bulldogs on base via hit by pitch and walk this weekend, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go well. But if you can hold it to 10, I think that would be awesome. So that's one number that I'm looking at. And this is probably we'll revisit it tomorrow. That's the beauty of this midweek game where we're on a Thursday. I have carved out a rough sketch of what I think LSU's best pitching usage is for this week. And it's ambitious, and nothing ever goes to plan in a baseball game. But this is the way I see it kind of working out for LSU in summation. It's a lot of numbers, but you'll get the gist even if you can't follow all the numbers as you're driving around. There are 81 outs to be had in a weekend. Assuming the 10-run rule doesn't come into effect, you've got to get 81 outs, okay? I'm penciling Anderson in for 18 of those outs. That's 6 innings. I think that's very reasonable. Okay? Now, there are some other guys that have got to get more outs than they have been getting. Anderson's been doing that. I need some other guys to step up. Before Anderson gets 27 outs and goes a complete game, how about some other guys go a little bit deeper? Is this reasonable for Anthony Ianson and Chase Shores to get 27 total outs? Let me break that down for you. If Anthony Ianson works 5 2/3 innings, gets 2 outs in the 6th, I didn't say shutout, 3 runs, 4 runs. If he works 5 2/3, then Chase Shores can go 3 1/3, and you've gotten your 27 outs. 5 2/3, 3 1/3. That's all I'm looking for. I need 9 innings of work from those two guys. That's 27 outs. Here's one that's even bigger. Connor Ware needs to get 6 outs this weekend. He got 1 last weekend. I know he's better than that. You need 6 outs from Connor Ware. And then you look at Zach Cowan and Kason Evans, and I've got them penciled in for 15. That's 5 innings. That's a lot. But 3 innings from Cowan and 2 innings from Evans, I don't think is unreasonable at all. If you get that, that's 6 innings from Anderson, 9 innings from Ianson and Shores, 2 innings from Ware, and then 5 total between Cowan and Evans. You've eaten up the lion's share of your weekend. There are only 15 more to play with, and you've got an entire pitching staff of guys like DJ Primo and William Schmidt and Maverick Rizzi and Jacob Myers and Jaden Newt. Like, you've got other guys to get the other 15 outs, depending on the score and the time in the game. You figure you're probably not going to play 3 complete nail biters. So there are probably some games you can play with a little bit. But I think it's important to look at the top guys. Anderson, Ianson, Shores, Ware, Cowan, Evans. Those guys need to extend. And you've gotten it from Anderson, and you've gotten it from Cowan, and you've gotten it from Evans. That means Ianson, Shores, and Connor Ware have got to step up. And I don't know if it's tonight. I think tonight, if you play it by the book, you would love Anderson to go 7, and then you're up by 9 runs, and then you can throw whoever you want for the last 2. But usually, SEC games are a little tighter than that, and you probably have to use Evans or go to Cowan in this game. But it's just a collection of outs. And I'm not saying all these guys, well, the starters have to get them in one game, but the bullpen guys can get them elsewhere. But you've got to have a little bit more length and a little bit more effective from the top guys in this pen. I'm not asking Cooper Williams to go out there and give me 15 outs on a weekend. I'm looking at older players than Kason Evans, who's proven himself, to go do that. Now, Mississippi State has got some good bats. There are some guys that you've got to be concerned with. Ace Reese has been great. He's got 8 home runs this year. Hunter Hines, you never know on a weekend. He might strike out 7 times. He might hit 4 home runs. Last year, LSU went to Starkville. Mississippi State was reeling a little bit. Hines hit 2 homers in a single game. He's as physical a hitter as there is in the SEC, but he strikes out a ton. But you got to worry about those guys. State's a pretty good offensive team. They're a pretty good pitching team. Beyond Con, they don't have any superstars. They don't have Jurangelo Sanja. You know, last year you had 2 guys in that lineup you absolutely could not mess with. I don't see that right now with this team, but I think it's a little step up from Missouri, probably a little step down from Texas. You're at home, and tonight you got a little bit of pressure on you to make sure you win with your ace on the mound, because there's a good one coming tomorrow, and you're going to have Anthony Ianson on the mound. So enjoy tonight if you're an LSU fan. Get the win, and then worry about the rest of the series starting tomorrow. That's our opening drive, brought to you by Genesis of Baton Rouge. We'll take a time out, come back, and talk with Luke Johnson. There's one position on the defense that the Saints have not really addressed, and I'd like to know why and what the plan is there. We'll talk with Luke about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I'm going to go with an estimate here that 35% of the listenership knows the Cubs and Dodgers played in Japan.
That's a very specific percentage.
I mean, that's kind of what I think. I don't think 50% of our listenership knows they played in the morning.
I would say
last
that
week.
I would probably go with like 30%.
Yeah, close. So either way, a small amount. So for those that aren't aware, that did happen last week.
And they were regular season games.
They were, and they went to Japan. They played at 5:10 in the morning, and it was over at 9:45 or whatever it was. And my wife knew that I had watched those games, and she did know that it was opening day today because I put Myers in a baseball shirt. You want to know how locked in my wife is on professional athletics and really athletics total?
Yes.
She just texted me and asked, did the Cubs play again this morning or do they play later?
Ah.
Said, well, they're not going to play in the morning again for like a long time. That was just a one-off with Japan. But just had no idea. Sometimes maybe they play in the morning.
Well,
sometimes just, whatever.
Guess who's playing the Yankees at 2 o'clock today?
I don't know.
Just a wild guess about what's happening right now in this segment.
The Brewers?
Yes.
I got the Yankees?
They got them.
Got to put my pinstripes on.
Yeah.
Luke Johnson joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. You watching the Brew Crew today?
I am unfortunately not going to be able to watch the game today because I'm on the road, and I'm really disappointed in that. But I do take solace in knowing that Milwaukee Brewers spy Craig Counsell is doing great things for me right now.
He did not do much for me last year. I do have Jackson Churio and Bryce Terang on my fantasy team. Really just because I hope they do very poorly, and if they don't, then I'll have them on my fantasy team for a little bit of a payoff.
Yeah, there you go. A former LSU Tiger signee,
That's right.
Bryce Terang.
That's right. All right, let's talk some.
Like there's like big parts of me when I'm watching him. I'm like really happy that he didn't sign. And then, another big part of me is like, man, it would have been awesome to see him at Alec Fox. But
yeah, there are a lot of those. A lot of those running around the big leagues these days. Trevor Story, Joey Gallo, I think just finished up in the majors. But a lot of guys that signed with LSU no longer there. Or Jacob Mizorowski would have been on the Skeens team, and he's slinging at 104 miles an hour for the Brewers. So yeah, there's a lot of those guys that I would like to see in Baton Rouge. Let's talk some Saints. I want to talk specifically about one position here because I don't see a lot of activity, and I don't also see a lot of depth. So let's start at linebacker. DeMario Davis is still there. How much is left in that tank? I would imagine a reasonable amount.
Yeah, I think he's like maintained a couple of seasons. I think he's still a good player. I don't think he's like the elite level player that he was. Yeah, especially like when he first signed with the Saints, like he was like a demon sideline to sideline. He was really, really good in coverage, and I think he's better like going upfield now, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think he's like the full field coverage linebacker that he used to be. That's okay, but like they can't just like count on him to be like a superstar anymore. And I think they pair him with a very solid linebacker in Pete Werner, but Pete's not somebody who's going to make a ton of plays. And he's played in the NFL for 4 years now. I think he's got like a half of a sack and one fumble recovery, and that's about it on like the impact plays. So yeah, I don't think it'd be a bad idea for them to prep for the future a little bit there. They've kind of tried with some of these like mid-late round linebackers, but like we don't know what Jalen Ford is. Like we don't know what DeMarco Jackson is. At this stage in their career, they've only been special teams guys. So I think it is an area where we'll see them at, especially if they do like play some 3-4 base. Like they're going to have 4 linebackers on the field. One of those guys can be a glorified defensive end, but I think they need to add still to that position.
Do you think that's a free agency deal? Do you think it's another try to take a 4th rounder and see if we can't make it hit? Do you think that the most likely scenario is that one of those special teamers kind of graduates, to use that term?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's any of that. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes around to number 9 and we hear the Saints are taking Jalen Walker or Jihad Campbell. I think either of those two guys could provide some value as off-ball linebackers while also giving you some pass rushing juice. So I think there's any number of ways this can go, but I do think that they're not done at the position. And I think it's important that they've shored up some of their other weaknesses, areas where I don't necessarily think they're completely done. I don't think signing Dylan Radins means they're not going to draft somebody who could be a potential starting offensive lineman for him. I don't think signing Brandon Cooks means they're out of potentially drafting Ted McMillan out of Arizona. I think they could still add another safety because Tyrann Mathieu in his mid-30s. It's not a position you have like your long-term future settled. But like linebacker is something that, as you've pointed out, they just haven't addressed it. They let Willie Gay walk in free agency. I think it's an incomplete position on the roster as it is.
Where would you put it on the needs list? I mean, there are a lot. We know. I mean, it's not necessarily considered a premium position. So where would you put it on their needs list?
Yeah, kind of like middle of the pack, yeah. Right? I think some of the stuff I was just talking about, some of those positions I still think are areas where I think they need to place more of their premium assets. I don't think they're done at receiver or potentially offensive line. I don't think they're done at corner because they signed Isaac Yiadom. I think they've got significant needs like across the board. I think they need a stand-up edge rusher. it was somebody who they never would have acquired in the past, but can play a role in this Brandon Staley defense. So like, there's other things I would put ahead of it, but like, again, this roster is just like so thin in terms of like the depth that, even though linebacker, you can say they need to add there's just so many places they need to add right now on this roster.
Can I put words in your mouth a little bit here? You
Please
said
do.
this roster is, and you paused and you said thin. Is bad another word for that? I mean, you're going through all these needs they have. They need a player here. They need a player here. They need a player that we need. Like, is that too forward?
I think we're going to get a good sense of it this year, right? Because I think the Saints have been talking themselves into some of the talent they have on the roster, and I think you can adequately say, like, yes, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are good receivers. Alvin Kamara is a good running back. Alontae Taylor is a really nice player. Chase Young has potential to be a very good player in the right nice pieces. Eric McCoy, I think, is a top 5 interior lineman in the NFL. He's really good. You really like what you saw at Talifuaga in his rookie year. So, like, there's talent on the roster. There's top-end talent on the roster. But, like, was their 5-12 season last year strictly because of injuries and a bad head coach? Or, like, are you going to add somebody who I think is pretty widely regarded as a good coach in Kellen Moore and a smart coach, and they're still going to have problems? I think this year is going to be kind of a referendum on really how bad this roster is. Is it thin in terms of depth, or is it thin in terms of real top-end talent?
One of the drums
I just have a hard time. I just have a hard time answering that question. It's just I think it remains to be seen.
I mean, it's all subjective anyway. One of the things that I've been talking about is, like, I read this website here and that website here, and I listen to that podcast, or I see this report on whatever channel, and most people consider the Saints, like, salary cap situation to be terrible and the roster to be getting old, and they're somewhere around like 20th to 26th in the league and this or that. And then I see the Saints continuously, like, trying to add players and, like, trying to sign 30-year-old wide receivers. And I'm just like, it seems like everybody else is going, well, they'll probably figure this out eventually. And then what they do suggests that they don't really think the way that everybody else on the outside thinks. And I'm just curious, what would it take for them to actually think that way?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to come to that assessment that other people are making of this team. I don't know if that's, like, really in Mickey Loomis's, like, DNA to think about things that way. And maybe it's because he's 68, and when he got here, the Saints were kind of a bad franchise, and they went through one of the worst seasons you could ever possibly go through in 2005, and he doesn't want to go back to the dark days. But I think you make a really legitimate argument that might be a necessity. And maybe we're wrong, like, maybe they stay healthy this year. You look at the two teams in the Super Bowl. I mean, they had, like, all of their players, and the Saints clearly did not. Maybe they stay healthy and they're a much better team than we all think they are, and anybody's giving them credit for. But, like, they've been talking themselves into this for years now. And it's just, it's like every year there's, like, a different reason for why it didn't work out. And I think it's going to be much harder next year if you have your handpicked coach. He comes in, he brings in a good staff. You retain the veteran quarterback to stay as competitive as possible. And if it still doesn't work out and you're still at best middle of the road NFL team, and at worst something really bad, I think then, like, can you really make the argument that it's going to work anymore? Like, you had a hard time making that argument this year. And I think you can talk yourself into it a little bit when you see some of the moves. Yeah, Justin Reed is a nice signing. Brandon Cooks is not going to be anybody's number one, but as a number 3, maybe that works out. Maybe they nail a draft class and they get some really good production out of those guys and turn things around quickly. But, like, you're asking for a lot of things to happen.
No question about that. What's coming up for y'all? I know that the Combine is in the rearview mirror. Senior Bowl also in the rearview mirror. We're about a month out from the draft, so what's going on the Saints beat over there with y'all?
Yeah, we are compiling as much draft preview stuff as possible. Now that these pro days are starting to kind of get into full swing here. I mean, the Saints have been spread out all over the country scouting these guys. Their running backs coach was at like 5 different schools this week. Kellen Moore is at, I think, 3 already this week, maybe 4. They've got guys everywhere. And once that starts to die down, you start to get a little bit better sense of what they're looking at, what they need, and we're kind of, getting position by position, saying like who could fit what the Saints need. And then I've got I'm working on something now. Should drop in a couple weeks that I'm very excited about. So stay tuned on that. Can't really say much more about it outside of that.
That's all right. We'll stay tuned. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Luke.
Yes, sir.
Luke Johnson with The Advocate at by Luke Johnson on Twitter for all your Saints coverage. We appreciate him for stopping by each and every Thursday. We'll step aside. Joe Healy, D1 Baseball, SEC Extra. What does he think of these Mississippi State Bulldogs and the rest of the league? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
LSU and Mississippi State this evening, 7 o'clock. You can listen to that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Pregame at 6:30. Chris Blair will be on the call. Tomorrow's game will be at 6:30. And then Saturday, they'll wrap up the series at 2 o'clock, weather permitting. That's a bad forecast on Saturday here in Baton Rouge, but they'll find a way to make it happen one way or another. Looking for your LSU baseball content and your SEC baseball content, no better spot than D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team. Mark Etheridge with us a couple days ago. Joe Healy with us every single Thursday. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Joe, thanks for the time. How are you?
Good, Hunt. I feel like we've reached that point of SEC play where that we've played just enough to start firing off some hot takes, but not long enough to actually be that convicted of them, which is I feel like that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, well, it's not slowing down anytime soon, so we'll find a spot here or there. LSU goes to the 40 acres for the first time in conference play last weekend and loses 2 of 3. Say more about LSU. Say more about Texas. What say you?
I think it says more about Texas. I ultimately don't have a ton of worry about LSU and where they're at. I think this Texas team is going to be really tough at home. And as long as this Texas team stays healthy, I think they're just going to be a real pain. Like I think I've said on your air before, I don't really see them as a national title contender, but I do think it's kind of an Omaha level team just because winning is a skill and they've kind of figured out how to win. I mean, the pitching is not frankly that impressive. The lineup is good, but it's not like riddled with superstars like some other lineups out there. And yet they just kind of continue to win games. And I have to imagine they're going to be even more dangerous as the season goes on and they kind of get things a little more figured out on the mound.
Georgia hit 1 billion home runs in Gainesville, and Florida has not won a league game yet. What did you learn more in that sweep from Georgia's offense and their ability to go there and win, or Florida just kind of in free fall?
Yeah, I think it's more Georgia, honestly. Like they've done such a good job in the portal because let's be honest, like Rylan Zaborowski and Robbie Burnett were nice players at their previous stops, but this was not Andrew Fisher, who'd, been a proven SEC slugger who just moved to a different SEC school, or Liam Doyle, or pick your big name portal guy, right? Daniel Dickinson. Like, that's a big name. These guys weren't that, and yet they've been 2 of the better hitters in the country. And for all of the consternation about the pitching staff not living up to its potential, which I agree with, they already have more depth than they had last year. They got to a super regional using like 4 or 5 pitchers, and they're already better than that. So that's impressive stuff. And I will say on Florida, I think a couple things are happening. They're probably not going to be as good as we thought they were, like just based on the results. That's true. But they played the 2 teams that are probably the 2 toughest teams in the country to play if you're beat up on the mound, in Tennessee and Georgia. So I do think that there is going to be some bounce back there, but we do need to downward adjust our expectations. And compared to A&M, I have a lot more faith in Florida getting back on track because I think a lot of it is health related, whereas A&M, I think a lot of it's between the ears, to be honest with you.
Missouri got swept again over the weekend after they left Baton Rouge, went home, and Ole Miss took all 3 games, but they did hit again in all 3 games. So do you think that Missouri's maybe got a little spunk offensively, even if they're not a very good baseball team?
Yeah, I actually do, funny enough. Like, and the thing is, like, if they had actually just pitched up to their potential, because let's not forget, Mizzou was like right in the middle of the pack in the SEC in most pitching stats last year. So if they'd have just pitched that well so far, like, they might have got that Ole Miss series, frankly. It was pretty reasonably close. I also, though, think it says something about Ole Miss's pitching staff. We've talked about this. Like, I think Hunter Elliott's back on track. I think he's a legit Friday guy. Like, he's not, total upper crust Friday guy probably, but he's certainly very good. But their 2 other guys are pretty hittable, and they're still kind of figuring out what they are in the bullpen. And so I do think if Ole Miss is going to be a postseason team, and that remains to be seen, they're going to have to acquire the skill of being able to win kind of ugly, high-scoring games in rubber matches, because that kind of feels like what they're destined to be in a ton of.
LSU and Mississippi State will start tonight in one of the Thursday series, and Pico Khan is not going to pitch in this game. Cade Anderson will pitch for LSU. Does that put any pressure on LSU tonight with Khan going on Friday against Anthony Ianson?
I suppose so, and it feels a little reminiscent of, I believe, and you can correct me, how you'd probably remember better than I do, like Mississippi State pitched off of Paul Skeens maybe when Skeens was at LSU and then won that series, or, so like this is a strategy. I don't love it from a competitive standpoint, but it's part of the game in college baseball where you play 3 games every weekend and there's no deviation in the schedule. But I do think it creates like a little bit of risk there for LSU of like, hey, even if you get this first game of the series, your Khan's going to give them an advantage in that second game, and then what do you get from Chase Shores in that third game? Now, of course, Mississippi State has its own issues they're dealing with, so I think that's kind of a coin flip, but it does create a little more intrigue in the series for sure.
I've seen a lot of teams pitch off of Skeens, and Aaron Nola was dominant for 2 years at LSU, and I saw multiple teams do that as well. You kind of get a built-in excuse when you get the Thursday series and say, I'm just keeping it on his normal rest. Like if you were to bump a guy back from his normal Friday spot onto Saturday, your whole team would go, we're doing what now? But you can kind of massage it when you get a day here, and that's kind of what Mississippi State gets. State's offense, what do you think?
I'm not overly inspired, I got to be honest with you. Now, I do like that Hunter Hines swung the bat a little bit better over the weekend, so that certainly they're just going to need him. But I don't really love it when you consider that, Ace Reese is their best power hitter. He's pretty dynamic, but he has the same strikeout issues Hunter Hines has. I was wrong about Noah Sullivan. I didn't think that was going to necessarily translate from the Big South to the SEC, but he's done it. But, you look beyond Sullivan and, with Hunter Hines and Ace Reese having big holes in their swings, I'm a little bit worried from that standpoint for Mississippi State. But what makes me even more worried, frankly, is that some of the sloppy stuff we saw 2 years ago when they weren't good has started to creep back in. Like they're not good defensively. They threw the ball all around last weekend against Oklahoma. They have problems at catcher. Now, part of that's because Ross Highfield got hit in the face, and like that sucks. And so they're having to play Joe Powell again. But they're not good at catcher. They're not good defensively, and they trust like just a couple of pitchers, and that's it. And that kind of feels a little like 2023 Mississippi State. So if I'm a State fan, I'm a little bit nervous moving forward, especially given you lose this series, suddenly you're staring down to being 2-8 in the league, and that's just so hard to come back from. Or 2-7, whatever.
Yeah. I look at the SEC scoreboard, and there's just ranked teams just all over the place. And I look at there's a great ranked matchup. There's a great ranked matchup. Auburn and Georgia over in Athens. That's a really tough place to play them. And I don't love Auburn's pitching staff. I saw Sam Dutton for 3 years, and he's been really good at points, and then wasn't as great last week. What do you think of Auburn's chances in Athens?
Yeah, you're just going to have to go in there with the mindset, and I think this actually gives Auburn a little bit of a chance. You have to go into that series thinking, look, the pitching plan doesn't matter because the pitching plan is going to get blown up because Georgia's going to hit home runs, and we're probably going to hit some too. And we just have to be flexible and understand that nobody's coming out of this weekend with an ERA better than what they came in with. Like, that's just probably not going to happen. So if you can adjust to that mindset, and I think with Auburn being a team that, look, for the last 2-3 years, they've had to kind of like just experiment on the mound week after week. So I think they're kind of comfortable in that type of environment. I think there are a lot of teams that go in there, and I think Kentucky was one. The minute they got thrown off schedule against Georgia, they just don't have any way to rebound, and they get shell-shocked, and they're not sure what to do. I think Auburn, that's kind of how they live on the mound. I think they're a little more comfortable in that, and certainly their offense has been swinging it well. Even when they didn't have Ike Irish, they were fine offensively. Now he's back and had like 5 hits in the finale or the Saturday game of last weekend. So they're dangerous in their own right, but right now I just don't know if any pitching staff can slow down Georgia enough.
Especially not in that ballpark right now. It's just a launching pad for them. Oklahoma is in Tuscaloosa. LSU will go to Norman for the first time next week. We know about Kyson Witherspoon at the front of that rotation. They won 2 games without him last week after calling out dueled him up there. So what do you think about that series in Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma and Alabama, top 15 matchup?
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of one of those series that we could look back on and it had a lot of bearing on how things shook out because both of these teams feel like somewhere between 14 and 23 nationally, something like that, just to pick random numbers. They could host if things break right. They could be a really high-end 2 seed in different scenarios. So this feels like a coin flip series that could have a lot of impact on how these teams end up, being in the postseason pecking order late in the year. Oklahoma's offense has started to backslide a little bit. I was pretty impressed with that group to start the season because that was their big question. And conversely, Alabama just is swinging the bat really well. They did a really nice job in the portal and in the JUCO ranks. bringing in some fresh bats in that lineup. So to me, the deal is if Alabama can get good stuff from Zane Adams and Riley Quick and whoever they are they throw on the mound Sunday, I like their chances because I really like their offense. If Oklahoma can get those guys out of the game early, Alabama's bullpen doesn't really inspire me. I think Oklahoma could get this series on the road. But ultimately, if Alabama stays on schedule relatively pitching-wise, I think they're going to be okay.
What is the atmosphere going to be like in College Station this weekend? You got a 2-4 Kentucky team coming in. They're 0-6. I'm very interested in just the environment at Bluebell because of what's going on.
Yeah, I don't have a great feel for it, to be honest with you. I think there's a chance it's antagonistic, not towards the opponent, but towards their own team. Now, Aggies don't tend to boo. They do tend to be like a pretty hey, we don't boo our guys. We don't get negative about it. And yet that we might see some of that this weekend because it's just, I think there's a frustration level, and understandably so, that is just beyond anything we could have comprehended. And if they're not able on their home field to win the series against a Kentucky team that's taken a step back and, isn't as talented as they were last year and frankly doesn't, have the offense to really hurt you when A&M is still pitching pretty well, that feels like a new low. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to Kentucky. I just mean, A&M, this is a series that A&M had to check off before the season and say, hey, we need to get greedy and get a sweep here. And now you're looking at it and saying, can we please just win a series? Well, they're putting a lot on Caden Sorrell coming back, and he's not this weekend necessarily, but he's a nice player. But if you're pegging your hopes on Caden Sorrell getting back in the lineup to turn things around, I think it just goes to show how tough a spot they're in right now.
Look, this listener base knows about Ole Miss's national championship year and what they started in. They know what Tennessee was in 23. They know what LSU was last year. They know what Florida was last year. We're all aware in this town, that you can turn it around after 6 games, but it's got to start somewhere. And I don't know that it's going to start in Knoxville. I don't think it's going to start in Athens. I don't think it's going to start in Fayetteville, which are all left on the docket for A&M. It needs to start pretty quickly, no?
Yeah, 100%, because you already, the Alabama series was one that you're looking at and you're like, all right, series win. Maybe we can get greedy and sweep it. And they got swept in that one. So they've already lost so much ground that they're going to have to perform in some series coming up on the road even better than what we assumed they could do when we thought they were the number 1 team in the country. So the idea that they're going to go from this to actually outperforming some of the expectations we could have ever put on them basically overnight just seems kind of foolish. I mean, I'm with you. Year after year, there's going to be a team that starts slow and ends up being in the postseason mix. But I've seen basically nothing here that gives me a ton of confidence in a big turnaround.
Me either. We'll certainly see. If you're looking for your D1 Baseball podcast, Highway to Hoover, wherever you find your podcast, Joe and Mark do an incredible job. Joe's with us every single Thursday. Enjoy the baseball. We'll talk next week. Thanks.
All right. You too, see you, buddy.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra team. We'll come back and close out Hour 1. Coming up next,
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Look, they can't make it any easier as far as the buying experience goes. You can start online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. You can swing on by the dealership, Airline at Piku. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal. They're not going to be pressuring you. They're not going to be breathing down your neck. They're not going to upsell you. They're going to treat you like a guest. They'll get you behind the wheel. They'll show you the safety features. They'll get you all the bells and whistles, and you'll feel the difference when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis. And if you don't want to go by the dealership, which I recommend that you do, but you don't have to. They'll come to you. Like I said, it can't be any easier. They'll come to your home. They'll come to your work and get behind the wheel and test.
The extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You gotta believe, dream, believe. You gotta believe in the dream.
Age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Closing out hour number 1 here. Beck's got the Wrigley Field shirt on today. I got the Cubs gear on today. It's opening day across Major League Baseball. The Cubs have the worst record in baseball
They
currently.
do.
0-2. They went to Tokyo and lost a couple games. But still exciting nonetheless. Cubs out in Arizona this evening for a 9:10 first pitch. So the Cubs went from 5:10 a.m. first pitches to 9:10 p.m. first pitches.
Beautiful stuff.
I don't know if I can promise I'm going to be up for that whole thing.
I can't either.
I would have been if we weren't in the middle of just complete chaos in the Palmer house. But I'm fired up for it. And for those that follow a team, whether you're a Cubs fan, whether you're an Astros fan, Braves fans, there's probably some Rangers fans around here. Unfortunately, there are probably some Cardinals fans listening. I don't wish you a ton of success this year, and I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that, quite frankly. But if you're a Major League Baseball fan, a happy opening day to you. I talk about this all the time. If you're a big football fan, football fandom is like the early stages of dating where, like, you may live in a different place or y'all don't live together, and so you're like, you spend the weekends together, and it's just like very intense, and it's like so awesome, and then you kind of have to wait till the next weekend. A baseball fandom, Major League Baseball fandom, it's kind of like a roommate. Like, they're just there every day. It's consistent. You might have a bad day, but like, you're going to come back the next day. It'll be fine. Like, it's more my speed. It's why college baseball is my speed. It's more my speed with this. Like, I love waking up in the morning, checking, okay, what time is first pitch for the Cubs? Who's on the mound today? Okay, who pitched yesterday out of the bullpen? Like, the rhythm of a season is awesome. And it's even better when you feel like on opening day you really have a chance. And while I kind of thought the Cubs had a chance last year, it's been a while since they tore everything down, and now they've kind of built it back up, and they should be good this year. So it's an exciting time. You understand that none of the games they play for the next few months are massively intense, although they all count the same. But it's just a good kickstart, and I'm excited to watch a little ball. Are we going to win the division, Beck?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
What gives you that confidence?
Well, the Cardinals stink.
They quit. They literally didn't spend a cent in free agency. That's very special. The Cardinals ownership group spent the same amount of money as me on free agents this year, which is zero.
Yeah, and then the Reds. I mean, they're just the Reds. They're always
They got dudes that throw real hard.
They
You're not
do.
scared of Rhett Lauder, former Wake Forest Demon Deacon in the rotation.
That I'm good with that. Joey Votto's done. They have Ellie De La Cruz, who's
I may need to figure out if Skeens and Lauder pitch against each other, Reds and Pirates, and I've got the MLB package. I may have to watch that one for some vibes.
You would see some you'd see a lot of miles per hour on the radar guns, but. So I don't really worry about
the Brew Crew. They ditch their closer, their shortstop's out the window, their ace is gone.
This
they don't care. They just keep winning.
Yeah, and exactly. No, this division just always seems to be who's really caring that much, and it's always like the Brewers just by default end up winning because the Cubs stubbed their toe for a month or two in the season, which is what happened last year, and so. And the Pirates, maybe the Pirates will be a little better, but I still don't think they're a threat. So it's going to be the Cubs and the Brewers at this point. And,
let's hope so.
And I think the Cubs have
4
done
seconds.
enough. I think they've done enough.
We'll talk about the Sweet 16 after Sports Center. Chris Blair in 20 minutes.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream. Creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life, so why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. It's baseball's opening day for most teams. The reigning World Series champion Dodgers are already 2-0, and they're the favorite to win it all again. Plus 275 on ESPN Bet. ESPN's Jeff Passan.
The Dodgers are going to be the first back-to-back champions since the New York Yankees at the beginning of the century, and it's because they are incredibly talented, but beyond that, they are incredibly deep.
Jeff Passan on Get Up. The Dodgers are the biggest favorite since the 2002 Yankees were plus 200. The Dodgers will host the Tigers here on ESPN Radio with our coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern. Coverage underway on ESPN right now for the Brewers and Yankees in New York. The men's Sweet 16 opens tonight with games in Newark and San Francisco. Two of the one seeds play tonight, Duke against Arizona, Florida against Maryland. ESPN's Shams Charania reports Gary Payton of the Warriors will be out indefinitely with a torn ligament in his left thumb. He got hurt Tuesday night against the Heat.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Friday. Could Jackson Dart be drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders? Will we see 4 quarterbacks go in the first round? My answer just might surprise you. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. A lot of LSU baseball talk, SEC baseball talk in hour number 1. We'll talk to Chris Blair coming up in 15 minutes. I want to talk to him about Jalen Reed, who made the announcement today that he will be back at LSU for some hoops next year, and then we'll talk some baseball with Chris as well. I'll join him on the call on Saturday's game. Looking forward to that. 2 o'clock start in Game 3 between LSU and Mississippi State. Also, Blake Baker spoke with the media today, and we'll get into some of that at the bottom of the hour. I thought I've got a piece up at LouisianaSports.net right now talking about the safeties, and I thought some of what he had to say was interesting about the safety position. They've got to be better at safety this year. There's no doubt about that, and I talked about that on LouisianaSports.net, and I'll do so coming up at the bottom of this hour as well. Sweet 16 cranks up this evening. Really good slate of basketball. BYU and Alabama, 6-2 matchup just after 6 o'clock. You got Maryland and Florida, a 1-4 matchup at 6:30. Arizona and Duke, 2 blue bloods in the sport, at 8:39. And Arkansas and Texas Tech at 9 o'clock tonight. That's from out in San Francisco. I'm just going to put the cards on the table here. I don't think I'm going to watch any of this, and that's disappointing.
Why not?
I would like to watch, but I'm going to watch
LSU,
every pitch of LSU's baseball game, and then the Cubs play. I could see a scenario where I throw the Cubs up on the laptop late night and watch Texas Tech, Arkansas.
Houston, Purdue's at 9 o'clock. That's tomorrow. Sorry,
That's tomorrow. Arkansas, Texas Tech's tonight at 9 o'clock. And I want to watch Arkansas play, and Texas Tech's really good. And there's a chance I watch the late game, but there's no shot at all of me watching BYU, Alabama, or Maryland, Florida, because I'm going to be completely locked in on Cade Anderson's start at the box. So I love the Sweet 16. I love the NCAA tournament. This is great matchup stuff. My personal hierarchy of what I'm doing is just going to dictate that I watch LSU baseball tonight. But it should be awesome theater. So I do want to break it down a little bit for those that will be watching, because I am interested in it, just not enough to pull off the LSU baseball game. So BYU and Bama, I think, is going to be an incredibly aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball for the non-partisan fan to watch. Clearly, if you're a BYU fan or you're a Bama fan, you're in on this. It's your team in the Sweet 16. But even if you don't have a rooting interest in this, which most of my audience does, and it's for BYU to beat Alabama, but even if you're from Toledo, Ohio, and you're just checking this game out, like, it's going to be fun. Bama's offensive efficiency is 9th in the country. BYU's is 11th. Bama's 9th in the country in threes attempted per game. BYU is 18th. That's way, way high. The game that is not coming out of my mind right now with this matchup is Alabama went to Columbia, Missouri, and they could not stop Missouri in the regular season. Like, it was just an avalanche of buckets from three, from the rim, at the free throw line, and like they just got into a rhythm, and BYU is capable of doing that. Now, so is Bama, and we know that. But this is a BYU team that is good, and they can really score. So I think Bama may be in a little bit of trouble here. I would love to see that.
Take the over, probably.
It's 175.5.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It's, that'd be, you're looking at 87.5 at the midway point. So, yeah, they expect these teams to be knocking on 90's door, and I think that's reasonable. So, it's just for the bipartisan fan, like, lock in. It's going to be fun. This is one of those that could get away from Alabama. Now, if Alabama won this game 97-80, like set by 17 points, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But this is the kind of team that I think you got a better chance of beating Alabama because they can't stop you than you do of Alabama.
We saw that with St. Mary's because it was like the total antithesis of Alabama.
And you have to keep up with Alabama to beat them. I wouldn't even love the elite Virginia teams, like trying to slow Alabama's efficiency down on the offensive side. You got to go outscore them like Missouri did in that game I'm talking about. So I think Alabama could be in trouble in this one. I love BYU in the 4.5 points. We'll see how that one shakes out. Maryland and Florida, that's from out in San Francisco, 6:30 start our time. Derek Queen is going to have to be a star in this game. When they almost beat Michigan in the Big Ten final, he scored 31 points. I realize Maryland's balanced. I know that they don't play a lot of guys. The Crab Five is as elite nickname as it gets. They've got some talent. They got some guys, but Queen is the most talented guy, and he's the guy that could give Florida some problems. I just don't think he's going to, and I don't think Maryland's going to. Florida is so complete. They are deep. They will grind you out. They play defense. They're tough to guard, and you have to exert so much energy on both sides of the floor against Florida. You've got to sit down and guard them, and you've got to work to get your baskets. They're not a one-dimensional team, and I think when you look at that, that's going to get into Maryland's legs. And I could see Maryland going to the half down 1 here and losing by 16. It just feels like one of those games. I like Florida laying the 6.5 points here.
Surprisingly, the shortest line for a 1 seed. They have 6.5. All the other ones are 8.5 or 9.5.
Maryland's good. Like, they have a good team, but I just think that because Florida wears you down so much, I realize that Maryland is like 1,000 times better than LSU. But LSU went on a 22-2 run against Florida at the end of the first half, and then Florida just laid them to waste in the second. That's how long you have to play well to beat them, basically. Like, the LSU just threw an uppercut at them, and they were like, all right, cool, see ya. And again, I'm not trying to suggest that LSU is as good as Maryland, but that's something that my listening audience was aware of at the time, and so I bring it up. I don't think Maryland can be good enough long enough to beat Florida. So give me the Gators minus the 6.5. Arizona and Duke, Blue Bloods, great uniform matchup. I think this is going to be a classic up in Newark. 9.5 is the number on this game. Look, these two played in November. Duke won it 69-55. That was a completely different Duke team. I actually watched Duke. I watch a lot of Duke in November and December because they're on a lot and because you've always got the next NBA draft dude, generally speaking, on that team, and I just want to get my first look at him. And Cooper Flagg was not great the first 10 or 12 games. He turned the ball over a lot. I mean, you knew who he was, but now he's the best player in the country, and that's the spear for Duke. So Arizona's getting a completely different team. However, Arizona's played pretty well this year. They've got some good wins. They beat Iowa State, who's good. They beat Texas Tech, who's good. They beat BYU, who we just talked about. They're good on offense, 24th in offensive efficiency. They're okay on defense, 76th in efficiency. Caleb Love is going to be the key here for Arizona. Duke's got a lot of different guys that can beat you, and Arizona does to a degree. You don't generally get to the Sweet 16 with one dude unless you're Davidson. But Caleb Love's going to have to be really good in this game. I don't think he's enough. I will take Duke and lay the 9.5. I don't feel as strongly about this one as I do the other two, but I just think Duke's too good. I picked him to win my bracket. I feel like Flagg is healthy, which was the biggest question when I was filling out my bracket. He's now had another week to get ready. So give me Duke to win that game over Arizona by more than 9.5. And then you've got Cinderella, John Calipari, against Texas Tech from out in San Francisco. Here's the biggest thing for me in this game. Adu Thiero has been Arkansas's best player all year, and he got hurt, and he hasn't played. And John Calipari said this week that like he can give us like 10 or 15 minutes. Here's my take on that. If you can play 15 minutes, you can play 25 minutes. Like, this is not a Kirk Gibson World Series, I can't run, but I can swing the bat once and see if I can't hit it over the fence. Like, if you can go play in a basketball game for 15 minutes, you can play for 22 minutes. So I think Adu Thiero on adrenaline is going to go out there and play more than the 10 minutes John Calipari is talking about. Now, is that enough to keep up with Texas Tech? They've got Boogie Fland, who's back, and he actually played pretty well. They got Big Z, who has sometimes been unstoppable and sometimes been a complete liability. I'm impressed that John Calipari has gotten this team to the Sweet 16. I don't know if my pride's going to allow me to give him any credit for it.
Yeah, I texted you after they won, and I said, looks like we have to. Looks like we gotta give Cal his credit for it. And you're like, nope, I'm not gonna do it.
I don't have to do that.
I'm not gonna do it.
It's not a rule, but maybe that's naive. I don't think he X's and O's it. I think he got a bunch of good players with a NIL budget, and they sucked for most of the year, including here in the PMAC. And they didn't suck the last 2 weeks. And they didn't suck when they went to Rupp Arena. Sometimes they don't suck. Sometimes they have sucked. I think they're going to suck tonight. And I think Texas Tech's going to smoke them. I think Texas Tech is going to annihilate Arkansas.
I'm surprised this line is as short as it is.
And look, Arkansas has undoubtedly played better since like February 10th. But I just don't buy it against a really good team. I could come back to rue that day. I will be pulling against Arkansas for sure here. But you look at, late season, and you look at who Arkansas beat. I mean, they lost to South Carolina. They lost to South Carolina by 19 points. Yeah, they beat Texas. Yeah, they beat Missouri. But they beat South Carolina. They beat Mississippi State by a point. They beat Vanderbilt. They didn't beat Alabama. They didn't beat Florida. They didn't beat Tennessee. I just don't think when they are going to play a team that's really good, they didn't beat Ole Miss. I think they're going to get beat by 15 points in this game. That's just my feeling on it. Credit to them for getting this far. Yeah, that's a really nice win against Kansas. Yeah, that's a nice win against St. John's. I get it. Those are real, and you're getting Adu Thiero back. But I just don't buy it. And I think that they call it Cinderella for a reason. You eventually turn into a pumpkin. Give me Pumpkin Calipari this evening for Arkansas. I think Texas Tech wins that game convincingly. So give me Texas Tech, give me Duke, give me Florida, and give me BYU in those 4 games. Take a time out, chat with Chris Blair, talk some baseball and some basketball as well. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team are phenomenal to work with. I know insurance is not a super fun topic, but it's important. And I know that because I spent 7 years in the business. And I watched terrible times for businesses be helped, rescued, use your term, by insurance. And I've also seen in auditing policies, like sometimes insurance is written wrong. And if you're paying a lot of money on the premium on the front end, and then you're not covered, and you got to pay more out of pocket for the loss because you didn't pay attention to what the policy language read, like that's the problem. And that's not going to happen to you if you work with a Highland Insurance Group. They are experts in reading policies, correcting mistakes, and making sure that their clients are buttoned up. Yes, they pay attention to premium, absolutely. The most important thing is making sure that when you pay that money up front with the premium, that you're taking care of on the back end when that hurricane comes, when that car accident comes, when that lawsuit happens. You want to make sure you're taken care of. The Highland Insurance Group will make sure of that. Call Jonathan Carbo and the team at Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online, highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. In 15 minutes, we'll talk about what Blake Baker had to say today, specifically about his safeties. If you'll recall, Brian Kelly routinely last football season talked about how they've got to get more production from the safety position. They've got to play better against the run, got to stop the big plays, and it just never really materialized. It got better after Guggenheim was ripping off huge runs and Lenore Sellers was ripping off huge runs. But they were never great back there, and you got to be, in this era, better with your last line of defense. And they've put a lot of work into that. They've got some guys back from last year's team. They've got some transfers in, and Blake Baker talked about what they're looking for from their safeties And we'll talk about that in the next segment. LSU and Mississippi State tonight, 7 o'clock, first pitch from the box. And it's a big game for LSU. You understand that you've got Mississippi State's ace going tomorrow. They're starting an opener in this game with Evan Ciari. You've got your ace on the mound and Cade Anderson. So it's a big spot for the Tigers. And on the call tonight will be Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers. You can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Pregame firing up at 6:30. Chris joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how are you?
I'm great, Hunt. Ready for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, man. I don't know if I'm the only guy, but I really like these series.
Well, good, because you're getting 4 of them this year. LSU, 4 of the 10 are going to be on Thursday, and there are only 8 left, so half of them on the rest of the way are going to be on Thursdays. Let's go back to last weekend. A great environment there on TV there at Dish Falk, and thought LSU handled it really, really well on Friday behind Cade Anderson. Was that the case from your vantage point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, there were a ton of LSU fans there, and there were times when you would, something the Tigers would do on Friday night that went well, and for a split second you would almost think you were at the box. It was kind of amazing how loud they were. But I think Friday was kind of the example of what went right and what went wrong over the weekend, and I think it all starts with pitching. Cade Anderson was phenomenal. He kept Texas a typical team that likes to make you make a mistake, so they're very patient. He got ahead early. They couldn't afford to be patient. They had to maybe press a little bit. And then Zach Cowan came in and absolutely shut the door. And you kind of felt pretty good after Friday night. Like, okay, this Texas teams, they got talent. But, if you throw strikes and get ahead early, you kind of take some of there. It's a little bit of a kryptonite. And unfortunately, that did not happen Saturday nor Sunday. Pitchers getting behind, no free passes on Friday. Boatload of free passes Saturday and Sunday. And again, Texas is a good enough team that when they can be patient, you get behind, you walk players, a solo home run becomes a 3-run home run or a base clearing double. And so I think it all came down to pitching. And, I think Jay has discussed that this week in some of his media outings. And I'll be interested to see, how the combination is put together this weekend from a bullpen perspective. And hopefully last weekend overall is just an anomaly. And I will say this, 9 of the relievers who came in Saturday and Sunday, this was their first SEC road environment. And I'll give Texas credit. I mean, they only seat about 7,000 or 8,000, I guess, there. But they had sold out the entire weekend. So it was a road atmosphere for LSU once they got going. So maybe again, that was just an anomaly. These guys kind of getting into what it takes to pitch and compete in these type of environments, because goodness knows this isn't the last one they're going to run into.
I can't pretend to be in those meeting rooms with Jay Johnson, but I can read some context clues from his press conferences, and certainly you have him on the coach's show every week and are around him a good bit. But I'm he's talking about looking at the scoreboard and seeing how many runs SEC teams are scoring as a whole as a whole league outside of the game that he's playing, and he knows how good his offense is. And I'm thinking he's looking at that going, I mean, look, teams are scoring a lot of runs. We're not asking to be perfect. Just don't give them anything. Make them earn everything, and our offense will probably earn more, is I'm imagining what he's probably telling them.
Oh, I asked him point blank Monday night. I said, Coach, you've seen the scores. And this particular past weekend, it was amazing at how many scores. And we know who the pitchers are. We know some of the marquee names that are in this league. Does that surprise you at all? And he immediately, again, he's not a guy that's reactionary or overreactionary. He doesn't hit the panic button. In fact, I don't think he has a panic button, which I admire about him. But he said, look, Saturday we played good enough to win. Frankly, we scored enough runs to win, in my opinion. The lead went back and forth in the middle innings, and they were able to get some separation late because, again, we didn't pitch the wall well. We didn't get ahead of hitters early. But I'm okay with what happened on Saturday. Didn't want to lose, and nobody hates losing more than I do, but it's going to happen in this league. Sunday's a different story. Didn't feel like they competed offensively like they should have. And I asked him, I said, is this an issue across the conference where the offenses are just so strong that maybe we ought to look at evening things up for the pitchers? He's not ready to go there yet, like when the bats were changed several years ago, when the offenses became too dominant. But I think he's well aware of the fact that these are offensive-heavy baseball days, and it certainly is in the SEC. And I don't think you're going to start to see these scores come down. He made an example, Hunt, of when he got here his first year, a typical SEC game in his mind was 6-4 or 4-3. And he said now all of a sudden they're 12-8 and 17-4, and so I think there is an uptick in offense, and we'll wait. I just don't think this past weekend was an isolated event. I think the offenses overall are probably the most dominant, certainly in college baseball, but without a doubt in the SEC.
Cade Anderson's 100th pitch on Friday was 95 miles an hour. His 101st and final pitch was a strikeout over 6 innings on the road at Texas. I liked what he did the first 4 weeks. I liked what he did against Missouri, but last week kind of felt like a step. You saw it in person. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, I thought, are these numbers real? And that's not because I doubted Cade Anderson. It's just each week we move along here. Certainly when you start league play, that level of competition jumps up, in my opinion, based on this year's non-conference schedule, quite considerably. And for him to be able to do what he was able to do against the Jim Schlossnagle team that by design says, wait the pitcher out. Don't be in a hurry. Don't go swinging at first pitches. Make them work, and they eventually will make a mistake. Well, he didn't on Friday, and that's why LSU won pretty convincingly.
I'm really interested to see how Anthony Ianson approaches the game tomorrow, because on the other side is going to be one of the better pitchers in the Southeastern Conference, and this is the first time that Ianson's kind of seen that, and I'm curious to see if there's a little pep in his step, and maybe we don't see a little bit of that version that struck out 15 a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Coach said Monday night, he said, look, we had an evaluation, as we do each and every week, on what went right and what we need to improve on, and, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. But he said after meeting with Jamie Tutko, who handles all the analytics, and Coach Nate Yeske, the pitching coach, they were kind of like, hey, guys, we're going to need better efforts moving forward, and that's going to start this weekend. So he didn't call out anybody by name, but I think we've all seen enough from Anthony Ianson to realize his stuff is really good. He's got the stuff to be not only successful in this league, but one of the top pitchers in this league. Starts out, gets a little shaky, and then kind of digs in a little bit better. My fear, which is kind of what happened on Saturday against Texas, is that as you play these really good teams, that half inning or inning and a half where you're not quite getting ahead of hitters, you're not able to get the two-strike pitch to get the out, you're going to get in trouble. And to me, that's the thing to watch tomorrow in this game, as you said, because the other side's going to be as good or better than you are. So you have to be able to match that standard. And that, to me, I think can really solidify Anthony's position as your game 2 starter, depending on how he plays tomorrow. Now, that's not to say I think there's going to be a major change made. But Jay mentioned the fact that everything is on the table. And, 3 years of Coach Johnson would tell you nothing's put in stone. And whoever the starting rotation is in February is going to be different when conference play starts in March. And it could be radically different in April, again in May, and also in June.
No question, and it's still early in the baseball season. Week 3 of SEC play starts tonight. Basketball going to have a lot of overturn here with the roster, but Jalen Reed did announce today that he will be back. You got to see him early in this past season. I know how excited the coaching staff was. I'm excited to see him for a full season next year. You?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've been around Jalen enough to know that he's been very appreciative of this staff, in the sense that they've always had a belief that he has the ability, the frame, and the development potential to be a major factor in the SEC. And to be honest with you, Hunt, I thought he was well on his way based on the handful of games we saw this year before he went down with injury. So I think that's a huge get, because he's a program guy. Those are rare these days, to have a player at any school that's there 2 years, 3 years, certainly beyond 3 years. And I think that helps. That's going to help. Now, obviously, everybody else, there's a lot of overturn. That's not something new, and that's not an LSU problem. Or not even a problem for that matter. That's just the world we live in now. But I think it's nice to have a piece like Jalen, who's been through it, has bought into what they're selling, and you've seen his play improve each and every year. So for him to be healthy and pick up where he left off and hopefully be even better next year, I think is certainly a shot in the arm that this program needs.
I'll see you on Saturday. I'll see what you can do with the Coke Zero stash in the fridge, if you could.
Oh, I've already filled it up for you, man. I did it. I anticipated your arrival, so on Tuesday. It's ready to go, barring Doug takes care of all 12 of them tonight and tomorrow.
Well, we'll see. Just let me know if that happens. I'll need to be on alert. I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I'll tell you if you need to pick some up on the way in.
Sure. That's Chris Blair,
all right.
voice of the Tigers. You can hear him tonight on Eagle 98.1 here locally or wherever you listen to the LSU Sports Radio Network. 6:30 pregame with he and Doug Thompson. LSU and Mississippi State, 7 o'clock first pitch from the box. When we come back, some LSU football. What did Blake Baker say about the safeties? We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I know a lot of folks locked in an interest rate 3-4 years ago that they just love and are not in a hurry to move, but you might want to upgrade somewhere, somehow. Here's how. One Bath and Closets. Customized closets. Customized bathroom. You can do a full-scale renovation or something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. David Duvall does these things all the time. If you're looking for maybe a little bit of inspiration, well, what can I do? Go to OneBathAndClosets.com or check them out on Instagram, One Bath and Closets, and just see some of their great work. You can see that they do vanities, they do walk-in showers, customized closets, racks, cubbies, mirrors, shelves, drawers. If you are not happy with your living situation one way or another and want to change that without moving, a little renovation. It doesn't have to be a massive, intensive, intrusive process that's worth just $1 bajillion. They got financing available. They can do quick turnarounds. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online. OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
LSU spring football off and running. They're about halfway through. I think spring break will take a week there. But off and running for sure. And we've had a pretty good look at spring practice to this point. Had a couple of 20-minute check-ins, but a couple of 2-hour sessions that we've been able to watch. And there are a lot of things that LSU's trying to accomplish here in this spring. And Blake Baker met with the media today, of course, LSU's defensive coordinator, and kind of touched on a number of things. One of the things that I took that we won't have sound on, but I'll just kind of lay it out paraphrasing. They are really working on individual development this spring, as opposed to scheme and as opposed to installing different things on offense and defense. And because of that, they don't really care who's running with the ones, who's running with the twos. Just as long as you're getting the reps that you need, that's the most important thing. And that is, I think, helpful when we're giving practice reports to y'all via the radio, via podcast, via YouTube, via the written word that we do on LouisianaSports.net. Like, to understand, like, yeah, we're seeing different units at safety, different units at offensive line. This guy's running with the ones at wide receiver. This is the tight end rotation they're using. But really, they're mostly focusing on individual development. And one of the places where that development has got to happen is at safety. LSU was simply not good enough at safety really the last 2 years. And it has shown itself in coverage. It has shown itself in the big play. It has shown itself in missed tackles, poor run fits. LSU just simply gave up way too many big plays the last 2 seasons. They cleaned it up a little bit later in 2024, but for the most part, it was just too much. You're talking about only Vanderbilt and Texas A&M allowed more 20-plus yard runs among SEC teams. So you were 14th of 16 teams in 20-plus yard runs. You were the worst in the league at allowing 40-plus yard rushes. No one allowed more. And so you look at the rotation that they've got at safety, and you know that Major Burns has moved on, and you know that Sage Ryan's moved on, and Kylan Jackson's moved on. And Jordan Gilbert, who started 9 games last year, beg your pardon, he's missing the spring because he's got a shoulder injury that he played with really the whole season. He's a seasoned vet. He started 2 years at A&M, was the starter last year for LSU, and he's banged up, but he'll be back. And now you're trying to work some either younger guys or new guys up toward that high level of play. The 2 younger players who are out there taking a ton of reps for LSU right now at safety are Deshaun Spears and Joel Rogers, both from right around here, and both guys were very highly recruited players. I thought this really short soundbite on Deshaun Spears was very, very telling from Blake Baker, and I'll add an anecdote after you hear it, but this is what he had to say about Deshaun Spears.
Nobody was harder on Deshaun Spears last year than me, and it's starting to pay off. You know, the dude is making a ton of plays out there.
And I agree. I haven't seen every practice. They let us in when they let us in. But in the 2-hour practice we got to see on Saturday, I did see Deshaun Spears running stride for stride with Bauer Sharp, who's a good athlete, and he knocked down a pass over the middle. I've seen him come up and make some plays in the run game as well. We thought last year that Deshaun Spears was going to fight his way to the field. And early on, it kind of looked that way because in weeks 2, 3, and 4, all the way through South Carolina and all through UCLA, you saw him getting more and more playing time. And then LSU went to the first bye week, and Ole Miss was after that, and the coaching staff said, we're going with the old guys. We're going with Jordan Gilbert. We're going with Sage Ryan. We're going with Major Burns. Those guys are all 4th and 5th year players. They're playing. And they sat Deshaun Spears down, and they sat Kylan Jackson down, and they sat Joel Rogers down. They said, we're going with the old guys. Well, the old guys are gone. So Deshaun Spears' time is to move forward and to become a force on this team because he looks like Eric Reed. He's got the big physical frame. He runs well. He's just got to know where to be, and he's got to make plays. And it sounds like they're encouraged by what he's done through 2 weeks of spring ball. Now, one name I didn't mention in all of that was Javian Toviano. Now, Javian Toviano was a 4-star recruit, versatile defensive back, bring him in, plays a little bit here and there. LSU was looking for anybody that could play corner on the outside in 2023. In 2024, Toviano was away from the team briefly before camp because of the legal issue. Then he came back, and we were at practice. All he did was work out on special teams, wasn't in the mix at all on the defense. And then He played a little bit at corner, played a little bit at nickel, played a little bit at safety, and you're going to hear this in Blake Baker's bite. Like, they feel like finally now, entering Javian Toviano's third season with the program, they've got a better plan for him.
Toviano, to me, I thought from a coaching standpoint, I think he's finally settled into what he really is. We had him at corner. We had him at nickel. I think he's a safety, and he's tackled outstanding. He's had a really good spring.
So that's good to hear. He's got a physical enough frame to be safety. He's never been the fastest straight line speed guy. Like, he's a little bit more physical than he is fast. He doesn't play like PJ Woodland or like Ashton Stamps. Like, that's not his profile. He's a little bigger and more physical. So he can slide down and play in the nickel, but I think he's probably more comfortable at safety. And so they finally got him there, and hopefully you can unlock that. It's hard on young players to learn how to play three different positions. I talk to Brandon Taylor about that every year because BT came in as a corner and they played him at corner, and then he learned some nickel and then finally moved him back to safety. By the time he got to safety, if you needed him to come up and play corner, he knew where to be, but that was his third and fourth year in the program. Early on, your head's spinning a little bit trying to learn all this stuff. So hopefully Toviano has settled in a spot and can have a positive impact. This is a bite from Baker about Coach Olson and really the entirety of the group and how they're progressing.
And I think Coach Olson's done a really good job, man. He's stuck with it. The kids have stuck with the process, and it takes time. I always say everybody wants to, it's like an instant oatmeal. They want an instant player. They want to pour the water in and mix it up, and boom, here it comes. It's not always that simple, especially at this level, and especially for what we asked our safeties to do. So I'm really, really proud of that room. I think they're coming along. Tamarcus has been a great addition, adds some really good speed in the back end for us, and he's played a lot of football, again, going back to what we looked for in our transfers. So I think that room's coming along. Still got a ways to go, but they have definitely gotten better from last year.
And he mentions Tamarcus Cooley in that bite. And so you've got some variables as far as skill sets go. Like, Deshaun Spears is 6'3" and 215 pounds and like an imposing figure. Tamarcus Cooley's 5'11" and fast. Javian Toviano is a little bigger, a little more physical. Joel Rogers is 6 feet tall, 205 and fast. So I think they've got some variations of what they want to do. In my head, this time last year, Deshaun Spears and Kylan Jackson were like the next dudes up, and Jackson's moved on, obviously. But that doesn't mean that you don't have ability. And so you have Jordan Gilbert, who's going to be an incumbent starter, and then you've got Spears and Toviano and Cooley to fill in and find that other spot, plus whoever can move down and be a little bit more versatile and play in the nickel. I think Cooley's going to play. I think that it's likely Deshaun Spears plays. So if you ask me right now in late March, okay, what does it look like against Clemson? I think your safeties are Jordan Gilbert, Deshaun Spears, and Tamarcus Cooley in some way, shape, or form in the back end of the defense. What they're asked to do, play to play, whether or not all three are on the field at once, who's the nickel, who comes off on 3rd and 9, who's in there on 3rd and 3, like all that can be rehashed. But they've got some numbers, they've got some talent, they have some proven production, at least in Gilbert and Cooley. It should be better, and it has to be better. We're trying in this analyzing LSU position to position in the spring and getting closer to the fall, like you're trying to now evaluate each position group based on a championship level. And LSU safeties have not been close for 2 years. You've got to get close. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be Grant Delpit and LaRon Landry back there. You don't have to have Jamal Adams and Chad Jones back there. It'd be nice. I love that. But you've got to be good. And they haven't been good. And hopefully they're taking steps to that direction. Got some ability, but it's a matter of putting that together, and that'll be what Coach Jake Olson's got to get done here over the next few weeks. Then you go into summer, then you get into fall camp. It's time to hit the ground running. So that's Blake Baker on the safeties. Looking for LSU spring football coverage, LouisianaSports.net. Certainly on our YouTube channel, Hunt on LSU as well. That's available now wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on LSU. Speaking of LouisianaSports.net, we invite you all to download the 104.5 ESPN app. One, you can stream us and catch our stuff on demand there. But two, you can turn your notifications on, and we'll send you notifications. We don't send you 4 a day. We don't even send you 1 a day, not even close. But if LSU gets a commitment, if the baseball game gets postponed because of rain, if LSU hires a coach, something like that happens, well, you'll get a push notification and you'll be notified. So if that's something you're interested in, highly recommend you download the 104.5 ESPN app and put your notifications on. All right, one more segment to go. We'll come back and close it out on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge, the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state. If you're in Baton Rouge, you're in the market for a vehicle, you're going to be on Airline Highway. Just make one more stop. Airline at PQ. I can promise you this. You will be incredibly impressed when you walk into that dealership. The building is immaculate. It's new. It's clean. The ambiance is great. You feel like you're walking into a big-time hotel. The staff is first class. They will handle every need that you have. It's not going to feel pushy. There's not going to be a bunch of pressure. You're not going to be getting upsold. You're just going to get a first-class experience. It's a luxury brand of vehicle. It's a luxury experience. And once you make that purchase, you'll see some of those perks. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, 3 years of complimentary maintenance. 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. Sedan all the way up through SUV. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Start your process online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com and get behind the wheel. Airline at PQ. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The VEX European Bracket Challenge is rolling right along. Head over to louisianasports.net to see how you're stacking up for your shot at winning the $1,000 in grand prize money. The most accurate picks overall will take home all of that $1,000. It's the VEX European Bracket Challenge powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm looking at a lot of ballpark food pictures that are popping up in my timeline on Twitter from opening day today. I hadn't been to Wrigley in 2 years, but like, I don't know of any good ballpark food options at Wrigley. Like,
I mean,
they got an Italian sausage.
They had the Chicago dog, of course, which is not bad.
But that's not
it's not.
But they're going nuts.
Yeah,
Yankee Stadium serving tiramisu. Rangers have this huge barbecue platter with massive tomahawk ribs on it.
Yeah, I went.
The Mets have like this huge steak sandwich thing, and Wrigley's just like, yeah, you want some hot dogs, some peanuts? Come on by and grab it.
I went to a game last year, and I didn't see anything crazy in terms of food options. But that's just Wrigley. Like they don't need these crazy food items to attract people. Like they're gonna have the best attendance in the league probably, and it's because it's just Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
They don't need all these crazy anything outside of the ordinary. They don't need it to attract people.
I would still like it.
I guess it would be nice, but I'm okay with a couple of old styles and a hot dog.
I'll have a couple beers for sure.
Yeah. Interesting thing though. I noticed a lot of stadiums are doing this now. If you want to get alcohol, you have to get they give you a wristband. Yeah, instead of checking your ID. Yeah.
So we would walk into the stadium in Omaha 2 years ago in 2023, and like everyone's first thing, they walk right in and go straight to the wristband guy.
Yeah,
it's like a huge line forms.
Right. We were walking through the concourse and I saw this line of people in the concourse. Like, what are they waiting in line for? And I see them like at the end of the line. There's a table and they're handing out wristbands. I'm like, I guess you have to get these to get alcohol.
I really enjoyed my time in Omaha 2 years ago. I would really like to go back in a couple months.
Yeah.
And those accommodations have already been arranged. We just got to get a baseball team there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully that happens. And maybe tonight, step in that direction. We've talked about it a bunch, but for now, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Alrighty, first one here. This happened yesterday, but longtime CBS commentator Jim Nantz says he plans to retire from calling the Masters after its 100th year anniversary. If you're wondering when that is, it's in 2036, 11 years from now. Announcing your retirement 11 years in advance. Take it or leave it.
Jim Nantz can do whatever he wants with the Masters. The guy's iconic.
So you'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
He'll be 76.
Yeah,
for that one.
Hey, Vern, how old is Vern Lundquist now?
Vern
he's still
he's in his 90s.
Yeah, but he's still sitting there at the tower at what is it, 16?
I think he finished last year.
Okay, yeah.
No, he's not in his 90s. So I didn't mean 90s. I meant 80s. He's 84.
Yeah,
so yeah.
and
But last year was his last one.
Yeah, I think Jim can do it till he's 76.
I mean, look, Vern is an icon and did a phenomenal job at the Masters.
The most recognizable call in probably golf history.
Yes, two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, either In Your Life,
yes.
something like that,
yeah.
and Yes Sir, with Nicklaus on 17.
Yeah.
But I think I could handle the one hole game.
Yeah, that's true. It's not as hard as what Dance is doing. That's
trying
true.
to work with the producer and we got to go here. One hold when they call you, like that one, you can handle that at 83.
Yeah.
If you're with it. So yeah, Nance is awesome, and if he wants to announce that at this point, he can do that whatever he wants. This is no longer Jim Nance week in 2 weeks because he doesn't do the Final Four anymore.
Yeah. Did you see? I don't know what happened, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about people complaining about a Masters ad. They usually just do Georgia on my mind, but I don't know if they did something different this time, and everybody's trying to create their own version of it because apparently the recent one they aired was not good. I don't know if you saw this or not.
I am unfamiliar.
Okay, I didn't see it, but I've seen people editing their own songs on top of the montage of all the players in the course and everything. So not sure what happened there. But anyways, moving on. Maryland basketball player center Derek Queen, as we talked about earlier, very good player. he recently just signed an NIL deal with Dairy Queen. Makes sense, right? His name's Derek Queen. Dairy Queen sounds close enough to me.
That's remarkable. I'm surprised Dairy Queen hasn't already had a mascot named Derek Queen.
Yeah, that is kind of shocking. But the Terp star will feature in ads for the company, of course, promoting their famous Blizzard treat. Take it or leave it.
Gotta take it.
I'll take it.
Like, let's be honest, Derek's kind of a big boy.
He's a large.
He's probably had a couple of Blizzards in his time. So yeah, he better not have any today because he's gonna have to be running.
Yes,
in that ball game tonight. But that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's good. I don't know that Derek's going to be hurting for cash here in the next 10 months. He's going to be just fine when the NBA comes calling. But that's a good NIL deal. I like it.
Yeah, it's solid. All right, last one. LeBron and Stephen A are feuding. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving this. Both of them looked so bad in this. It's unbelievable.
That LeBron Pat McAfee interview was crazy.
It's tough. Like it's just a tough scene. Like he's like bashing Windhorse for no reason, calling everybody basically a loser.
Yeah.
It just didn't look good. I could watch LeBron play basketball for another 20 years. I just think he's incredible. He's a savant on the court. He's been incredible longevity, and I could make the case he's the best basketball player who's ever lived. And if I was 10 years older and could watch Jordan and I wasn't 9 years old when that was happening, I'd probably have a better feel for it. But the public image thing just doesn't go great to me. It just doesn't. I'm anti the Bronny thing, and I just think that interview, it just looked bad.
It wasn't good.
There's just no high road taken whatsoever. So let me just take cheap shots at everybody I can find.
Like I don't mind if you want to go in an interview and you want to be candid with how you feel, but like the way he went about it with, especially the thing about Windhorse is like, okay, that's just not called for. It's unnecessary.
And it's not like Windhorse like goes on the TV and is like talking about how they're best buds and they're hanging out all the time. He just whatever. It's just I didn't love it. And then Stephen A. The whole tough guy thing is so bizarre to me. Like who cares?
Yeah.
The bragging about getting into fist fights, I just think is the lowest form of like male. It's stupid. Whatever. We're done here on this Thursday. Hopefully the Tigers get it done tonight. We're talking about it tomorrow. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and